So good afternoon, good evening, good morning for all those people that are in different time zones. We appreciate that you are joining this session. It is being recorded and we will post it on LinkedIn, Telegram, various social media channels, Twitter as well. So we'd like to introduce Lisa. Lisa is part of our team. So like we've said in the past, we will have more and more women in this sessions. And Jessica is also here. Sophia is not able to join us, but she will join us next time. Harry, our expert in blockchain, is here as well. And we will discuss today mainly about what is blockchain and how does it help me as an individual? How does it help you? So we would appreciate if you can also give us some questions and then join in the discussion, because this will not be just reading off slides or going into the whole blockchain technology. It is about how does it help me as an individual. So Lisa, you want to go to the next slide? So this is our team in bloXmove, and why are we actually talking about how does blockchain help me? Because bloXmove has a way to help everyone in mobility to get simple, easy access to some rides, ride shares, let's say trains and all of that, and very, very simplistic way. But obviously we would like you to let us know if there's other ways that you could do this. So we are reinventing mobility, and what we say when we say we're reinventing mobility, I always use a use case of saying, I am traveling from US, I am based here in Detroit. So Detroit, let's say to Berlin. Generally, I would take a flight from Delta to Amsterdam, Amsterdam to Berlin. So while I'm in Amsterdam, it used to be where, and still is, by the way, where I land, and then I have to have KLM airline, let's say, app. Even though I'm using Delta, I also need other apps if I want to go into the city. I have to kind of put in all my payment information. All of that has to go on. But generally, by the end of the day, I would have about 4 or 5 apps. But I only want one. I want the Delta app that I'm connected with. And so therefore, that is what bloXmove is going to do for you. Lisa, how about you? What do you think about bloXmove or blockchain? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, I'm fairly new to the topic. So I'm with bloXmove for 2 months, and since then maybe becoming a woman in tech. And I'm learning, as Asma always says, every day. And I think for these kind of past 2 months, I got a real basic understanding of what blockchain is and how bloXmove will use it. And if you use the example of the flights, I maybe use the examples of the city, because this is where I'm always traveling and where I don't have a car. And I don't have my bike in the city as well. I'm really dependent on kind of public transport and so on. So this is where I'm hoping bloXmove will make my life easier if we start off with our platform to connect all these urban mobility providers as well, to make my journey from Neufahren, where I'm at right now, so kind of outside of Munich, to the city center a little bit easier.
Okay. And Jessica, you, any thoughts on this? How does blockchain help you? How does bloXmove help you?
Actually, as you know, in China, more and more things are integrated already, and blockchain is also very developed in China. But what attracts me more is the word decentralized. How to think, because as a user for myself, I think I have the right to control my identities. So the people who can use it, I have the right for it. So for the blockchain, so far what I learned and what impressed me more is the decentralized identified document, DID, which impressed me more. And what I'm more looking forward is the future. I think it's the trend, and looking forward to like the really the blockchain world, and everything is integrated and life is more beautiful.
Yeah. This is all coming from those individuals. All the 3 of us have not had this blockchain training, or this, we're not the experts that Harry is, but we know what we want. We know what we want in our cities. We know what we want when it comes to our data. We know what we want when it comes to simplicity in our daily life. So you want to go to the next slide, Lisa, please? So this is what we've learned in the past. We've had a few sessions. We read what is blockchain. It's a decentralized P2P, and that is what Jessica is mentioning, shared ledger of transactions. We also learned what KYC is, know your customer, and digital contracting, where there is the human, the vehicle, the enterprise, all integrated into one. Those are the past sessions, but in this session, we are going to be talking strictly about bloXmove and blockchain inside bloXmove, and why. It is what people have asked us to actually discuss. So when we look at the recap of what we have had feedback from last month's session, you could see the bloXmove and the urban mobility use case. It's what most people wanted us to discuss. And that's why we are focusing on that. Any thoughts or questions from anyone that has joined us on this?
Not so far, I think.
Then we go to the next. So we answered the first question, what is blockchain? Session 1 and 2. What about second question? How does blockchain help me? We discussed how does it help us. So maybe also we could hear from somebody in the panel or somebody that's joined us, maybe Manuel, Miguel, Joan, what does it mean to you? How does blockchain help you? What does it mean to you? What do you want blockchain to do for you? You can just put that in the chat. No? Okay, that's okay. Then we, Manuel, more control over my data. So same like Jessica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe to give you guys a little inspiration. But what we are going to talk about is how bloXmove will help it. So maybe you can get a little inspiration from this as well.
Miguel, blockchain is technology that allows individuals to cooperate in very efficient way, and companies as well. Yes, correct. Okay, should we go? Let's go to the next slide.
Okay.
So, Lisa,
yeah, so now we did a little Asma explained a little bit where we came from, so what topics we already discussed, and that today will be about bloXmove, so this company of ours, and how we will bring blockchain to the real life world, so to the real business world. But maybe we ask you first if you have any ideas from the last 2 sessions, maybe if you already joined, or if you have any ideas on your own, or maybe you're working with blockchain in your private life as well. How could that be transferred to the business world? And there you can use the Mentimeter we did last time as well. So just go to menti.com and dial in the passcode here, or you can just also use the QR code. I'm gonna share the results. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time to find the link.
You can just use the code.
Yeah, you can just use the code up here. Link. Yes, Manu here for you. Then you can also tell me if it's working.
Manuel is also part of our team.
Yes. So I'm allowed to make fun of him a little bit.
Yes, it's family.
Okay, here we go. Yes, end-to-end journeys.
Cooperation and bundling, automation, that's what I like. I always say, take me to the Star Wars world. I want to go from galaxy to galaxy with just one number, nothing else. Just take me to that world.
That's you, Asma, right?
Yeah, you really want to go to outer space, right?
Yeah, I want to come. Yeah, go with Jeff, you know, he's going pretty soon, so why not? No, seriously, for someone that travels, honestly, for me, it's constantly having to download app after app, and then also, entering my information in a, free Wi-Fi at the airports. I mean, that's kind of the scary part, right? Entering my private data for payment for, all kinds of things. And that's a scary part. So just give me a number and I travel from galaxy to galaxy. Eliminate middleman, automate stuff. Yeah, I like that. End-to-end journeys. That's a nice one too. Increase stuff. Increase trust, yes. So this is actually what blockchain does, and same thing that we have in bloXmove, right, Lisa, Jessica? Same exact thing, automation, end-to-end journey, increase trust. All of this is in our bloXmove use case. Should we go to the next question then, Lisa?
Yes, maybe we go to the next one.
So stay with Menti.
Yes, if you have it open, you just see the next question and be able to answer as well. So Asma, we already talked a little bit about what bloXmove does, but maybe we do a quick checkup with everybody where they're at. Maybe some are more informed and others are less. And then you can just tell us what do you already know about bloXmove and what is maybe the big thing you keep in mind when you hear about us.
None.
Thanks, Manu.
We're family here, all family. What do you already know about bloXmove? Nothing. Well, we're here to tell you then.
Yes.
Anyone else? No.
Anyone knows anything? Yes. Thank you, guys.
Mobility providers for end user, present and future mobility. Yes, I like that rocket. Just take me to the next galaxy. Oh, there is also, is that Saturn? Is that Saturn?
Yes. This is where you're going to go first, Asma. Okay, so yeah, you really have a rough idea maybe about what blockchain can do in the everyday in your everyday life and also in the business world. And this is kind of what bloXmove will combine, right? So we are a business, but we do have a real life impact on the everyday life of real people and individuals. So go back to the presentation. Yes, this we already did. And then maybe we can jump right in. Asma, if you want to start.
Sure. We are reinventing, obviously, the mobility, urban cities, smart cities by providing seamless global mobility alliance, just like we discussed. So if I want to go from city to city, of course, I can't name every city in Europe or in Asia, but let's say also we go into Singapore. I mean, Singapore's got everything, the bikes, the trains, not the spaceships yet, but it definitely has a lot of taxis. And then, of course, I just want my current app to give me all that information and tell me which taxi to take, which bike to take, which train to take, how long, and I don't need to enter, again, any new information because I would not be comfortable. I'm not comfortable now adding any new information. So that's for me. But maybe we can also sell this to, Jeff Bezos. He's going to the spaceship on a spaceship, and then we sell this to him as well. So if anyone on this channel knows him, please send him our number. It's bloxmove.com.
Yeah, Asma will have to ride with him for sure.
Yes. So that's for next. Anyone else? Maybe someone else can tell us what does this mean for them? Okay. So here's the end customer. So what you see on this slide, we're not going to focus on the information as far as what's written, but look at this phone and all these apps. I can tell you mine is even worse. I've got app after app after app. And for, like I said, someone that travels, you've got a number of different apps from different countries. And these things, actually, what happens is you go from city to city, and that's what you do. You add different apps because you need them to catch a ride, to rent a bike, to rent a scooter, to take, you know, a cab. That's what you need them for. So what we want to do is we want to simplify this. Lisa,
Yes.
what do you think we want to do?
I think, and this is a perfect example, because just last week, it's not only different cities, it's one city as well. And my mobility app that I had didn't work. So I had to download the other one and put my credit card info behind this as well. And it didn't work, obviously, because it was already sitting at the train without a ticket, because I'm always late for my trains. And I think what will be much easier with this is that I don't have any problems anymore with this kind of stuff. So I have my one app which will work and which will give me my ticket for whatever kind of transportation I'm choosing. So if I'm choosing the German S-Bahn here in Munich, or if I'm choosing a Lime e-scooter, or maybe an e-bike from the station. And I think this is really the big advantage for the end customers. So for the struggle we all have with this kind of thousands of apps, and we can just use the one we prefer. And this is what I always do. I always use this one app for the normal way I'm gonna go into the city, and anything additional is a little bit uneasy for me. And if I could just book my Lime roller from the train station as well with my train app, then I could just be faster where I need to go, because I'm always late. So
the other thing is also when you are in two cities and they are not connected, right? They have different, let's say, platforms, different systems, they're not connected. What happens is you need an app for one and another app for the other, different trains. And then also you cannot transfer those tickets, right? So if you have money in one wallet, you cannot transfer it to the other wallet. So then you've got money in two different wallets, even though the cities are just really close. You just land in one and then take a train, and then you go to another city and you take then a bus. You just cannot do anything like that. Everything is disconnected.
Yes. Yeah, you will always have to pay extra if we wanna choose a bike. After I drove with the train, then I have to pay extra, and then if I need a taxi as well, then I have to pay extra.
Yeah. Any thoughts from anyone regarding this? Their experiences? You can just type it in the chat, or you can just say it out loud. We're open to that as well. Anyone? Okay. Because everyone's being really shy today. Lisa. Okay, we go to the next slide, not a problem.
Yes. Yeah, this is kind of what we teased already.
Yes. But just to go through this is basically what we're talking about is one click, one stop for your entire services, mobility services that you would need or you would want in one city. And then the end result will be that we connect city to city. That will be the ecosystem we want to build. And then from there, you can go, like we said, from one country to the next without even having to add anything else. So we need more bloXmove in our lives. Yes, that's true, Miguel, for sure.
For sure.
Okay, next slide.
Okay.
So cities, talk about cities. How do we bring this to the cities, you know? And what are the key benefits to cities? I think Jessica is not able to join us on this, but we can, of course, definitely discuss this. Or maybe also engage Harry. Harry, any thoughts on cities?
Well, I believe yes. I mean, think about I like to look at it a little bit like you, with the science fiction eye, half open. And, autonomous driving, which is coming sooner or later, nobody really knows how soon. But in one way or the other, you will have autonomous vehicles there, and you will have more and more smart cities, which just means a lot of what is now used for traffic control, traffic monitoring, it's all going to be one big network at the end of the day. So you're going to have these vehicles and they're self-guided, and you're going to have a city that, on the other hand, is already, they're fighting with congestion, with they're fighting with too much emissions, etc. So if you think about it, if you think about mobility as a person, all you care about is you want to move through. But if you think about it from a city's perspective, it becomes a completely different equation. It's about, hey, we have citizens here, we need to keep a livable balance. The traffic needs to be smooth. It needs to be balanced. It's a total waste of resources if every single one person sits in a car, so 70 kilograms of flesh are being transported by more than 1,000 kilograms of metal. That's about the most inefficient way to transport a human being. So there's obviously here, you want to balance this, so less metal, less energy is used to achieve the same amount of mobility. And you want to also do it in a balanced way. You know, certain parts of the city, there should be less traffic. Then you want to have a balance between vehicles towards scooter, towards public transport. So what I would believe and what I see coming is eventually that what we call urban mobility now will become an integral part of the smart city of the future. I don't know if anybody of you has ever seen Blade Runner. It's a very pessimistic view of how the smart city of the future will look. But it's still, I always have this picture of the Blade Runner smart city in my mind, where everything is interconnected and you can get efficiencies and throughputs which are unheard of. And by doing that, this is not just efficiency, you know, it sounds cold, but what does efficiency also bring you? It brings you that the same amount of people can move through the city much faster, with much less emission, with much less traffic, with a lot less need for streets swallowing all the surface of your city. So this efficiency basically can result in a much more well-balanced and much more sustainable urban experience. And this is where I would see things going. So cities become more livable, more pleasant, while at the same time, people are actually moving more than now, not less. And I believe with modern technology, this is actually achievable.
So we have a question. So I will also get to what I would think I want to see in cities. So Joan's asking, so will the individual apps have to change to hook into bloXmove in order for me to use one app to manage all? Individual apps do not have to change. What will happen is bloXmove is actually an integrator behind the scene. All the other apps have to actually connect to bloXmove, and that is how they will get the data.
Essentially, and here is a good example which we like to use, is about the Star Alliance. If you think about when you buy a ticket through Star Alliance, you go to the counter, and just think of the counter being the app. You go to the counter of United Airlines in the US, you go to the counter of Lufthansa in Germany. That doesn't change. So you have one counter, one app, one channel of your choice, and the app itself doesn't need to change. But then how do they manage to sell you a ticket where this one counter, this one app sells you a ticket where you end up actually, you know, you start from Frankfurt, you arrive in LA, that was a Lufthansa flight, then you board a flight, it's still a Lufthansa number on your ticket, but you're actually using an airplane operated by United Airlines, etc. So how is that still possible? It's possible by integrating the back ends of the systems, the transaction systems of these individual companies, and they exchange the necessary information. So it's similar to also roaming. So when you have your mobile phone, you basically do that once. You go to your mobile operator, you get yourself a SIM card, they have a billing relationship with you, you provide all of that, and then you go to another country, you land, and nobody asks you about any onboarding.
Für deine Dusche.
So nobody asks you again to onboard. So the magic here is exactly that our customers who are businesses do not lose control of their customer relationship, which is the most important thing a company should look out for. So we don't interfere with their app. We assist them in basically doing the necessary transaction management on the background. That's the secret of how we operate. And that's why we like to call ourselves the Star Alliance for Mobility.
Except in the Star Alliance, when I think about it, if I take Lufthansa, I have the app of Lufthansa, but then once I am on the flight and it's United Airlines or American Airlines, I have to download their app. to get their services. So at the end of the day.
For
Yeah.
full integrated service, yes,
Yes.
you're able to board the plane without the app. Anything else, then you have to download their app. So it's not as, they didn't have decentralized technology when they designed the Star Alliance.
Yeah.
Maybe if they would have had it, they would have been able to solve it.
We can also give them that, Terry. Just like we can give Jeff. So whoever knows anyone, just let us know. Give them bloXmove.com. But talk about cities. When I think of cities, I think of, I haven't seen the movie Blade Runner, but I have seen the Jetsons. I don't know if anybody remembers the show, The Jetsons. Awesome city, you could say integrated, where you can take a space, I wouldn't say spaceship, but a car that is like a helicopter, and then traffic lights are in the air. They're not like they are now. So basically what the city does in the Jetsons is it actually guides you if there's traffic. That is what I want my city to tell me. If there is an issue, because things happen, within seconds, I want to know about it. So I actually can take a different route. And I want that different route to be recommended. Not one, because everybody else will take that route, but I want several routes to be recommended. And then I take those routes. I also want the city to be able to tell me different times that, you know, there's congestion in the areas that I'm heading into, because then I would know when to go. If I'm going to go just grocery shopping, I want to make sure that I go at a time where it's not heavily congested. Those are the things I want from my cities. Lisa, what would you like? What would you like to see from your smart city?
I think you both guys covered it really well. I would also like to kind of get the offer of different options of routes and of kind of different possibilities of transport. So how do I get there fastest, or how could I also get there with the least crowded road maybe? So is the Munich U-Bahn popping out of all its doors once again? And should I better take maybe a bicycle or something like this? This would be my idea.
Yeah. Anyone else? Did we cover everything that you would like to see in your city, in your smart city? Finding efficient detour when there are so many construction. Oh, that's so true. That is so true. So finding efficient, let me read this whole thing. Finding efficient detour when there are so many construction sites in pain. And the is a pain in the, you know, yes, everyone experiences that. And in Michigan, we always say we only have 2 seasons, it's snow and construction, and that's it.
No.
That is all we say, snow and construction. So if you're not held back by snow, you're held back by construction, because it starts in March, ends in November. So you know what I'm talking about. Anyone else? Any thoughts? From Miguel, I want to be able to contribute to the development of the smart city mobility infrastructure, charging stations, new vehicle fleet. Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, yes, because if we talk about autonomous driving and electric vehicles, I want to know all this. That is so true. We need the spaceships soon to fly over. Yeah, we need these for sure. Manuel, watch the Jetsons and you will know what I'm talking about. Then we can get from city to city, at least country to country, within like what, 1 hour, rather than drive in traffic. We can get from one country to the next. Okay, if nothing else for cities, then let's go to the next slide. Please join in the discussion. Let us know if you have questions, topics you would like to discuss. Mobility providers. So this is where I think Joan's question would be. It's coming into in-house development, large aggregators. This is what we see here. Harry, thoughts on this? Mobility providers, or even Lisa? Maybe Lisa first.
Yeah, maybe me first, because this will be much quicker than Harry, I guess. No, we kind of saw the problem or the situation we have right now, and the one we wish for maybe, or we want to create from 2 different points of view. So from the customer point of view, from our individual point of view, and then what we expect from cities, or what cities are also aiming for right now to be kind of an attractive location to get people to live there and enjoy living there. And I think if we look at providers, so these are really the partners we would need, or the ones that have to offer this service. And this is kind of the point where bloXmove really sets on, right? So where really the close connection is of our product, so of us as a business, but where we also see a lot of problems maybe, yeah, from the outside. And as you already said, this is kind of the slide to show, okay, hey, what is the situation right now and how are mobility providers dealing with it? But I think Harry has much more to say and much more insights in this. So please, Harry.
Well, before Harry, I also want to, sorry, Harry, I also want to say I have had many projects where we integrate systems, and Joan also has been part of those projects. So Joan and I are good friends here in Michigan. And I can tell you, besides cost, besides integration, it's also always thinking about what data do we share from system to system, and literally being in workshops, being behind the scenes in projects for years until you get to where, let's say, even Lufthansa, American Airlines are today. So, but Terry, sorry if I cut you off. You can go ahead.
Not at all. Anyway, for me, I mean, I'm an engineer basically. So for me, this is now an engineering challenge, because obviously a lot of companies have realized that all of this is desirable. So everything that you have been talking about, how it should be so easy, how it's really painful and actually uncomfortable to share your data with so many different places, where obviously the more you share it, the more you increase the possibility that it gets hacked. So companies obviously realize that, so they're not stupid, right?
Yeah.
But then they still never fixed it. And this is basically what this picture is trying to show. So why doesn't it get fixed? And there's a number of elements coming in here. The first one is traditional IT systems, they're sequential. And so they work from, you enter something, then it goes through a workflow, things get added, things get changed. There's a lot of approval hierarchies, reconciliation. And then usually at the end of the day, you got these day-end jobs. And after the day-end jobs, they enter, your data warehouse scheme. It gets a little bit aggregated and it finds its way into accounting. And roughly speaking, a full flow of transaction takes about a week or 2 weeks before it becomes fully consolidated. And another thing is, because everything is fully sequential, there's always a time lag. Think about it very simple. I basically now want to send you an invoice. So now I'm booking into my system that I want to send you an invoice over 100 euros. So it takes, depending on how good your IT system is, it takes anything between a few hours and 2 or 3 days before this invoice is actually in my own accounting system. Then, depending on how you send those invoices, paper, email, whatever, this whole thing is sent. It arrives at the counterparty. Let's make it the same day or the next day. But then, of course, they need to understand, because everybody's system is split. I have my system, they have their system. So when the invoice comes, it needs to be examined, right? Because otherwise I could just send invoices and get rich. So they get this invoice and then they will have a look at it. It goes through another approval hierarchy. Somebody needs to, first of all, match it. Wait a second, these guys are invoicing me. What did we consume that they are invoicing? So you basically need to match the one to the other. Then it needs to be approved. Is the amount correct? Is it appropriate? Do we want to pay this at all? So that takes another couple of days. So, and then it enters, all right, now at least we have it booked. That's 2 or 3 days later. But then things haven't been paid yet. So, and what happens here is you basically have, in the global scheme of things are constantly out of whack. Now, in order to fix this with traditional systems, you would have to integrate systems in integration projects that take a lot of money and a lot of time. And most of all, you integrate one company with the other. That's already painful. Then you want to add a third and a fourth, and it gets worse. Each company you add makes it more complicated, and complication lowers quality, lowers security, because complexity kills about everything. You need to keep things simple for them to really scale. The moment you add complexity is when you add fragility, is when you open yourself for breakdown, at least in software world. So in-house, basically connecting 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 operators became too expensive. Mobility is a low margin business. So yes, you can still try it. If you got enough venture capital to burn, you can try it, but you're bleeding money, and on an overall, you're losing money. So that doesn't really work. Now there's another way. All right. Let us swallow everybody. So that is the Uber model, essentially. So Uber basically takes tons of money, burn, freely just losing money, it doesn't matter, as long as the VCs pay it. And they just basically acquire users with that money, and then they just basically take everybody's customer relationship and they become the one-stop for all. And for the user, this is a fairly good solution. It's comfortable. I can land in Dubai, I can land in Madrid, I can land in Detroit. I got this one app and it does work. So from a user perspective, it does indeed solve the problem. But at least from a European perspective, there's a slightly different mindset from cultural perspective here. But from a European perspective, that is not a desirable scenario. Because what happens here is that there's one company that has all the power in this. So it's essentially a monopoly. It's essentially like a trust, which by European thinking should be busted. It has too much power. If a company can take from its operators 20% of revenue, then you know something is wrong. Because no company in the world that I know has 20% of margin. Unless you're in the drug dealing business, sorry the joke, but you don't have 20% of margin. Nobody has 20% of margin. But if Uber manages to take from the company that works for it 20% or 25% of revenue, that shows you something is wrong here. There's too much money flowing to the top, and the companies that are actually delivering the service don't get to keep enough of it. It's a very unhealthy balance.
But even these large aggregators, Harry, they don't solve the issue. Like when I looked, obviously a few people know, in India and in Singapore. So in Singapore, they were always competing with Grab. And for me, I needed to have both apps. In India, it's Ola. I need to have both apps. So it does not solve the issue in the city. The mobility providers, you still need those two mobility providers. But if I just want to have Uber, let's say globally, and anyone like Uber or the bus or the train or the scooters, then I just want to use the Uber app. I don't want to use anyone else, but I want to see what's available. So yeah, they still don't solve that big problem for me. Of course, yes. Also they don't solve it that I want to go to space, but that's a different topic as well.
Yeah, and it's a highly unfair way to do it. And this is where decentralized, this kind of people get together, you know, they're competitors, but they collaborate on things that make them grow jointly. So this win-win thinking, again, in the Star Alliance, it's a perfect example. They're all competitors, but because in order to scale together, they have to pool some of their resources together, just like in the village, competing shops do to get together and basically run the market. So yes, run the marketplace or run the bazaar. They're competitors, but yes, they will jointly pay for the upkeep of the bazaar because it helps them to grow together. That is collaborative scaling. And it is this collaborative scaling which is much more sustainable, from my personal perspective, much more attractive, and from an economical perspective also much more desirable. And we believe that the times of the big monopolistic, almost aggressive aggregators like Uber and Amazon, at least in Europe, have come to the peak. That is, and you see that by the political and by the economical actions that Europe and European companies are doing. You see they're being pushed back now. And the way to now counter this, and again, you see this at the level of politics, you see this also at the level of companies, is let's try to grow together. We have to scale, we understand we have to scale. And that is where decentralized technologies, the decentralized identification that Jessica mentioned, where the individual stays in control of all of her data, full control, she doesn't give them away. You have the data, you just show it when you need it, it gets verified, but it stays with you. And decentralized bookkeeping, which is what blockchain does. So if you manage that, and in the middle, companies keep their customer relationship and keep their product design. And this is a totally new and alternative way of approaching collaborative business, which also scales. It scales just as well as these centralized platforms. And this is the business, or if I would give any mission to myself, and I'm not a sentimental person, the mission is let us grow in a decentralized, collaborative way, rather than having the single companies which just suck the lifeblood out of whole industries, make one company rich, and everybody else is on the verge of bankruptcy by serving them at a minion level. And this is the mission we try to basically fulfill for the mobility world.
And mobility providers have already shown, like the Star Alliance, that they are interested in something like this, because or else they would have never started the Star Alliance. Not only that, they also want to ensure that their current existing end users, customers, clients, that they are themselves very, how can I say this, want to maintain their identity, want to secure their information. So by giving them that one integrated solution, they know that when they are in airports or in bus stations or train stations, they're out in the street, they're using public Wi-Fi, that they are not actually giving away all their private information. All they do is submit and then get the information is still secure behind the scenes. So any thoughts from anyone, mobility providers? No, then we go to the next slide. So bloXmove solution. So maybe I ask Lisa, what does this tell us about this solution?
Yeah, so we talked a lot about what kind of the problem is, right? So a lot of big aggregators, and you also said, Asma, there is the will to collaborate and to kind of stop this big aggregation mode everybody's in or everybody's afraid of. And this is what bloXmove, right, will make possible from a technical standpoint, right? So we will make it possible with our blockchain technology to enable kind of a network and a collaborative approach. And this is maybe a little bit what this slide shows, which partners we have in mind, or which urban mobility providers we have in mind, and on what kind of a basis they could work together. And we have these 4 keywords: identification, verification, contracting, and settlement, which will all be done safe and sound via this blockchain technology, which we learned about during the first 2 sessions. So this is really the point where we say, okay, hey, this is blockchain, and this is what bloXmove does with it, and how we can enable this safe network.
Yes, and key is we're a business-to-business platform. That's what we are. So it's new mobility, public transportation, business mobility managers, rental fleets, and anything else that you would think that actually in the future, we don't know, spaceships maybe. Thoughts, any comments on this, on what bloXmove does?
Yeah, I would maybe ask Carrie on the next slide to kind of build the bridge to our last session we had, where we talked a lot about DIDs and VCs and how this really connects to bloXmove.
Yes, I would like to get back actually Jessica, because Jessica gave kind of earlier in the day, she gave the input here, where what she seems to like very much is this self-sovereign approach to your credentials. So, and Asma also kind of reinforced it when she said, I have to give my data here, I have to give my data here, I have to give my data here. So a very important part about how this decentralized is, you need to understand what's the difference between an account and a credential. I mean, who cares? Would be the first intuitive answer, right? No, it's actually fundamentally different. So when you sign up with any of the existing apps that you have, you're creating an account. So what does that mean? You are giving your data to them. It's not that you keep that data. You give your credit card data. Your credit card data is stored in their transaction systems. You give your name, you give your phone number, you give your email, and then they give you a login with a password, which allows you to access your account with them. So first of all, that means all of your data is now in their systems, but most of all, it means all of your data is only in their systems. So you want to go to another company, they open another account for you. The whole game starts again. Now this whole identity and credential thing is the other way around. It's very much closer to what you have in your wallet. You have your driving license, that's in your wallet. You don't give your driving license to the rental company, right? You wouldn't even think about doing that. And this is how these digital identities work. They issue you a driving license in digital form, which is in your wallet, and you only show it, and it's verified, and therefore it's done instantaneous, and you don't have to basically go through this whole onboarding and giving the data thing. And once you got that, you first of all have achieved what Jessica likes so much. Hey, I am in control now. If I want to give you a view on my driving license because I want to rent your car, all right, I will present the credential. I will allow you to look at it. If I don't want, okay, then I don't show you my driving license. Obviously, I will also not rent your car, but I am self-sovereign. This is why these digital identities, a lot of people talk about them as SSI, which stands for self-sovereign. Sovereign is a very important word. Sovereign means I'm in control. And that's a part about, and this is how you achieve this complete interoperability. Because obviously, you don't need, your passport works everywhere in the world. It's a very interoperable concept, right? So you go from country to country. Every airport has a different IT backend. Every hotel has a different IT backend. But somehow your passport magically works, right? The same is with these decentralized identifiers. It is that system. And then add to that now, right now, each one of us, each company has their own accounting system. So I have my accounting system, and in order to somehow do business with you, then you have your accounting system, I have my accounting system, and in order to get the very simple story straight that you just owe me money, which should be immediate, no, I first have to print an invoice, I have to send it, you have to receive it, you have to scan it, you have to put it into your accounting systems, and then hopefully at some point in time, you will pay me. When the payment comes in, I got the same matching problem. Anybody who's been in an accounting department, so the money comes in, okay, what is being paid here? It's the same as the invoice. I now need to match the money to the actual invoice or liability. So this is in times of decentralized technologies, that is primitive. Why don't we just have a shared ledger, a shared bookkeeping? The moment there's a liability between company A and company B, it's in both of our books at that very moment. The whole invoice, there's no more invoice here. The invoice goes away, it's then and there, and that is what blockchain does. That is what blockchain was built for. So if you put these two things together, they give you full control to the individual. They give a lot more power to the individual company because they can jointly grow without falling into the fangs of one big centralized platform, and it scales like whatever, scales really fast horizontally. And the secret here, and this is what we do I'm a techie, right? So I'm solving that problem. And technically speaking, you solve it by using decentralized identification, verification, contracting, and settlement. It sounds very cold and boring. It's just tech, yes, but it's done with the purpose of achieving this kind of scenario, which is infinitely more flexible and scalable than what current technology would be able to offer.
But Harry, just actually those four different things that you mentioned. So even if I was to add, let's say I go to Berlin and I add an app in Berlin, I have to, somebody's going to identify who I am. I have to give information. They have to verify who I am. Then obviously I accept terms and conditions for payment. And then at some point the settlement is done. And if you're using traditional banks, generally it takes 1 to 3 business days.
Correct.
So in order for that money to transfer from place to place, you may see it sometimes that it's there, you buy the ticket, but behind the scene, that data is still there 1 to 3 days. So we have actually another topic coming in from Joan. Could we use bloXmove for this? So a little different use case, but bloXmove could solve the problem I had collecting money from my work team for a baby shower gift. Even though we all had different pay apps, bloXmove would be able to enable the flow on the back end to allow everyone to pay me regardless of Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, etc.
A distributed ledger, so I wouldn't say bloXmove would be overkill for this, but the technology we use within bloXmove, so specifically this distributed ledger, which is kind of a very specific synonym for blockchain, does exactly that. So yes, if you have this kind of distributed ledger between the participating parties, then exactly, I pay through whatever payment channel I have, you pay through whatever payment channel they have. This thing calculates it and sums it up and aggregates it to net zero at any single point in time. And everybody knows who paid in how much, who's due how much, and what the total balance is. Yes, that's exactly what blockchain was built for. Yeah. It's a decentralized bookkeeping system. If you
blockchain could solve this problem, basically.
Yeah.
bloXmove is a little bit too much for this, but it could solve it. But blockchain is a technology, which is what we said. What is blockchain? How can I use it in my daily life?
Correct.
But you could. So Joan, you could use blockchain for that. Okay, next. Good questions, good. Next one, next slide, Lisa.
Yes, this is just kind of showing again what we talked about. So here you have it as a visual that the stuff we discussed in the last two sessions is really at the core of what we do, as Harry just explained. Yeah, so maybe I don't know if you have any additional words, Asma, Harry, or
No. We have.
yes, and here you can maybe see how this would look like from your point of view, so from a customer point of view. We have this little click dummy down below showing how this would look in an app, right? So how you could book your whole journey from point A to B with as many mobility providers as you want. So you can take taxi, train, and even spaceship, Asma. I think we will make this in the end.
Not there yet. We need that picture there.
And how this will look like. And they can really see that this is kind of the vision that we have, right? To do this in a one shop really and a one click way. So to say, okay, I want to go from A to B, and you set in your location points, and then on whichever app you like, right? This is the key to this whole thing. So bloXmove will not develop an own app. We will be at the back end of this and connect the different apps, so to say, or connect the different providers. And you can choose your own app. And say, okay, I want to go from A to B, and this is kind of what it would look like for you, right? So not really different than what you're looking at right now, but you could just combine some kinds of transport with this.
Yes. Any thoughts, questions on this? Because for us, we all know this. This is what we provide on a daily basis. And this is what we say when we say we will integrate. Brilliant. Yes. Thank you, Joan. Yes, we know.
Yeah, and as we are kind of running towards our time marker, I would really open up the floor to you guys and say if you have any questions about this. This is really the time to ask. Just if you want to unmute or if you want to put it in the chat, then we have a couple more minutes to talk about maybe some points that we missed, because as you said, Asma, right, this is our daily business. So
yes. Anything that you would like to see next time too, just make sure that you contact us. You let us know if there's any other topics that you would like. So we took it from last session. We had the voting, and people said that they would like to know more about bloXmove. But if there's another topic you would like to know more about, please let us know. And also, as we are running out of time, we just want to say that we will not have a session next month. It is in most places already summer. So we know that summer is the season, and especially after last year, people want to be together with family and friends. So our next session will take place mid-September because of the holiday season, early September. So any other thoughts, questions?
Yeah, we will go on a quick summer break. And maybe one question just from my side. If you have a preference, we did this these last 3 sessions now, always on a Saturday, so always on the weekend. If you say, hey, this doesn't fit my schedule at all, and I have to shift so many things around, why can't we do it during the week? Just also pop that in the chat, and we will see what we can do and what most people agree on. Because obviously we want to kind of reach you and don't crash your day or something like this.
Oh,
great.
Thank you, Joan. Really appreciate the opportunity to learn more about this incredible topic. Thank you. And thank you all for joining us. So these are all the different means that you can actually contact us. Let us know what topics you would like us to cover next time. And just want to reiterate that we wish you a good summer break. Hopefully everybody celebrates this summer with family and friends, and then we will see each other again in September.